Welcome to those of you who are just joining us. And I have a friend asking if we're doing wine tonight, and we are right now. Okay, hi Greer, right on time. Good evening. I'm trying to do something different than welcome. And I'm just trying to help someone get on here. So if anybody's having trouble, you can direct them just to go to the Artisan Wine page right on Facebook. And Keith, if you can text Christine to let her know. Now everyone knows who it was. Hi, Lisa. Loved your posting, your GIF earlier. It was wine yoga, which was fantastic. Fantastic. And we're just waiting while everybody starts. I'm just going to create a comment for everyone who's joining. Hi, Marla. It's nice to see you. Good evening. Hi, Tina. Nice to see you. Okay, I did notice that I move my lips while I type. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment section. Greet your friends as they arrive to be sure we can see their comments. All right. Now I'm going to pin that to the top. Hi, Rosalie. How are you this evening? Thank you for joining us. Hi, Melissa. Oh, great. We can see you, Rosalie. Excellent. All right. So for those of you who may aren't sure what we are doing here tonight, we are, so Keith said to me during the week, I said, what do you think? He said, I think it's going great. But he said, maybe switch it up this week. And so I thought that was a great idea. I love to be inspired by learning new things and trying new things. This actually tonight is not a new thing for me. When people hire me or my company to come in and do a wine tasting or do an event, I offer them different themes. It might be Italy, it might be France, it might be certain varietals, it might be old versus new, or it might be what's a healthy wine. And that actually seems to be a trend nowadays. So I've gotten some good feedback on this. And so I thought that I would share that with you today. Welcome, Andrew. I see that my little brother has joined. Hey. Right. Oh, and thank you, Melissa, for mentioning that Keith is my husband. And so he sits next to me and he helps with my tasting and makes funny faces and funny comments as we taste. So yeah, so wonderful. And just so you all know, I post all of these wine tastings that we do together to YouTube. So I have my own YouTube channel, Artisan Wine Group. And so, oh, Kim Cassidy, hello, Kim, welcome. And so if you ever want to catch a recording, see what you missed, or just learn something about wine or have a drink with someone virtually, jump onto my YouTube channel and you can taste along with us and catch up. Okay. And those of you who are here live, I so appreciate it. It really adds to the conversation. It adds for all the comments and questions that you make, especially when people ask me if I'm wearing pants. Okay. Pants. I'm wearing pants.
I had to check.
Okay. All right. So this week I was reminded again of the resilience of the human spirit. We're all cooped up in our houses, and I'm trying not to read. I wrote this right beforehand, and what I want to say, and I need to just look at my notes for this. We're in our houses, we're with our tribe. Some of us have a big group with us. Hi, Lori. And others of us are on our own in our homes. And these tastings are really meant to be a light in your day, to remember to take time for yourself in these trying times. So use these tastings for anything that works for you. Some people are in their PJs drinking champagne every time. It doesn't matter. We might be covering Malbec because today is World Malbec Day. So cheers to everybody for happy World Malbec Day. Mm-hmm. But this is really, really for you to take the time for yourself and maybe learn a little bit, maybe have some fun, drink some wine, and have some burning questions that you might have answered, and to just set aside life for a short while. So I want to welcome some more people. Hi, Dina. And Lori, no, Lisa Adams asked any type of wine. So for tonight, we're talking about what is a healthy wine. And so, yes, drink. Those of you who went out to buy wine, they look and who reached out to me to say, what should I get? What I said to them is look for organic on the label. That's the easy answer to the question. So if you had time today, hi Erin, welcome. Thanks for joining us. If you had time today or this week to get some wine and you had a mask and were safe, you could have gotten an organic or biodynamic wine or some of the others that we're going to learn about tonight. But if you aren't sure what to drink and you didn't have time to go look, just grab something out of your cabinet. We'll let you know if it's healthy or not. Okay? All right, great. So thank you and cheers to you for taking time to share your journey with me. Hi, Anne, welcome.
Christine says she's on.
Okay, good. Good. So Christine has joined us. And so I'm so glad that you are all here. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of wine tastings together, and we've been reviewing different varietals. So you are welcome to go ahead and taste. So what we're going to do, hi, Mike, welcome. And welcome, Susan Sutherland. And hi, Mary, welcome. All right. I'm trying not to say welcome so much, but you really are all welcome. Okay. All right. So everybody hopefully has opened their wine. They have poured it into their glass and they are enjoying the color of it. I see Christine on there, Keith. And as we're talking tonight, I'm going to talk about healthy wines and what is a healthy wine. And so as I was talking about to start, we were, all of us are social distancing, or most of us are, and we're trying to be healthy, but that's not always easy. Okay, so it's good to learn tips and have suggestions on how to be healthy. Being healthy means different things to different people. But you know what? I think anything goes in this time of pandemic, right? We're doing the best we can. We're drinking, if we want to, and it's just not normal functioning. And so I think, I'd like to invite you to be kind to yourself and really, do what you need to do to get through this the best, and know that we're here for you, and that if I can help in any way, message me, and this is a community. So anyways, tonight's topic is healthy wines. So what does it mean to drink a healthy wine or to have a healthy wine? Are some wines healthier than others? Is wine healthy for us in general? How do I buy a wine that's healthy? Can I drink wine if I'm trying to lose weight? Is organic wine better for me? And how do I find that? So I'm going to answer all of those questions for you tonight and more. And as always, feel free to answer questions or to ask questions. And if there's something that I know I'm going to get to that I'm not ready to get to yet, I'll pin it to the top. Okay? Drinking game this evening. This is the new announcement. Every time I say healthy, we drink. So cheers. And you can comment cheers as well online if you want when I say healthy. Okay, so we're going to go into what we are drinking tonight. This is always, and when you do a wine tasting, we're wine tasting instead of wine drinking. And absolutely, Christine Ryan says, I think all wine is healthy for my sanity. Sometimes it really is. Okay, sometimes it really is. And so we're going to start off, and those of you who have not done how you swirl, smell, and sip, we do that usually most weeks. So I'm going to do it very quickly. If you have questions, let me know. But I do want to just go ahead and review it. So we're going to smell whatever wine we look at whatever the color of our wine. I'm drinking Owen Row Red Blend tonight from the Columbia Valley. I'm going to look at it, then I'm going to swirl it to aerate it. You can see it's swirling in there. And then I'm going to smell it, see what aromas I can pick up. There's black cherry, blackberry, a little bit of spice. There's Cabernet Franc in here, so there's some pepper. And so please do this right along with me. This is for us to really taste what wine we're drinking as we learn, okay? And then we're going to taste it. Oh, it's beautiful. It's black cherry, blackberry. There's a spice. There's some toast at the end. And what I'm doing, and someone asked me, what exactly does that mean? What am I doing there, paying attention? I get fruit first, then I get another sensation on my tongue, and then another and another. And I'm paying attention to that. It's what's on your palate, and it slowly unveils. And so at first I got the fruit, then I got a pepper, then I got a little spice, then I got some toast, okay? And I just paying attention to what's going on there, okay? So Rosalie asked, what's the shelf life of an organic wine? Rosalie, it's actually the same. It's the same, okay? And that's a great question. Let's go ahead and talk about what does that mean. So are wines healthy? My answer to that is water healthy? Are fruits healthy? Okay, the answer is yes, everything in moderation. If you drink too much water, what happens? You die. You drown. If you eat too much fruit, it can make you sick. And so anything in moderation. So if you're drinking wine and it's in moderation, then it can be healthy. There are lots of studies that will tell you positive attributes of wine, and there are mixed studies, but we'll share those positive attributes in just a minute. But Keith, did you grab that off the printer? Yeah. Certainly there are some people who do have issues with alcohol, and that is very difficult. But aside from folks who have a significant issue with alcohol, the rest of us can drink wine and get the medicinal benefits from it. Okay, so. Basic, oh, hi, Bennett. Nice to see you there. Andrew Bennett. So if you don't have, so alcohol can have positive characteristics, sorry, distracted, like stress relief, and lower blood pressure. Okay, so benefits of healthy wines, or of wines in general. Low blood pressure, rise in mood, more confidence, less stress. It provides antioxidants, and so they may help you live longer. It can protect against heart disease, prevent harmful inflammation. And we all know, a lot of us, we're learning now how tough inflammation can be on our bodies. Red wine has higher levels of antioxidants than white wines. Grapes and wine contain polyphenols, which are substances that act as antioxidants. And then they can also help lower bad LDL cholesterol and boost beneficial cholesterol, HDL cholesterol. So a glass of red wine can help you reduce your risk for heart disease, provided it's no more than 1 or 2 glasses a day. Okay, so good, Andrew. I'm glad that you're learning. Okay, I have to figure out how to screen share, but I have a lot of visuals. These are kind of overall how red wine or wine can help you. Okay, I love the look good at the bottom, facial muscles loosen and cheeks flush with color, causing you to look more relaxed and thus more attractive. I'm sure you all, though I can't see you, I'm sure that you all are looking more attractive right now. And as Keith pointed out, fighting sickness. So there's ellagic acid that slows the growth of fat cells and lowers your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. All right. So does that mean we should all drink a bottle a night? Nope. And white wine is good. It's just not as good as red wine. That's right, Lisa. So a bottle of wine per week is associated with an increased absolute lifetime cancer risk for non-smokers of 1% for men and 1.4% for women. Okay, so these are all studies you can look and find. And lower levels of alcohol may go with fighting Alzheimer's. Okay, but once you get to 2 to 3 glasses of wine every single day, that's when your liver can get into trouble. So if you're, pandemic is kind of different rules, different functioning than normally. But what are you looking for, Keith?
It's a screen share button.
Oh, I know there is. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So what makes a healthy wine? bottom line, healthy wine. Everybody has, hi Carolyn, welcome. Everybody has different things that they are trying to achieve. So, for example, right now I'm keto and my brother is vegan. Okay, so wine, you have to kind of tie in whatever your goals are to whatever your goals in health in being healthy are. Okay, and so that's how you. That's one of the measures of this. All right, but what makes a healthy wine is really the winemaking. So it's like a chef, and I say this often. It's like a chef. A chef has to make decisions in their crafting their food. Winemakers have to make decisions crafting their wine. So if you're a chef at McDonald's, you are making different decisions than if you are a chef at a high-end restaurant. Okay, and so so welcome Sue, welcome Carolyn. Andrew says you're. I said healthy 4 times. This bottle's gone. Yeah, we're playing a drinking game. Those of you who just joined us, um, and um, and that's fine if you're on your second glass. It's totally fine. We are saying that word, the H word, quite a bit. Okay. All right. So, because we're not driving, right? We're all in our homes. So it's all about the way you craft the wine. So if you buy, people will say to me, well, what's wrong with cheap wine? What's wrong with inexpensive wine? There's nothing wrong with it. I always say good wine is wine that you enjoy, number one. But if you're enjoying wine and you always get a headache from it, you always get sick from it, likely they're putting, the winemakers are putting different chemicals into it. Okay, so there's a purple punch that they'll add in. It's just a cocktail of just kind of disgustingness that will have extra sugar and all of these different components in it that makes it taste good, but it makes you sick. And when I say they, I mean volume winemakers. So people say, well, I drink $2 Chuck or $3 Chuck for some people. Well, he was put in jail because because of certain things that he was putting into his wine. So if that's what you choose to drink, that's totally fine. However, just know that likely that is not a healthy wine. You are not going to find a well-made wine for $5. You're just not. Okay. So if you don't care, that's fine and no judgment. But when you're talking about healthy wine, you do need to go up to maybe the $12, $14 range. That's going to get you a European wine. They have much higher standards. The US is not, as we all know, as regulated as other countries, and that carries over into winemaking. Okay, so for example, adding extra sugar into your wine in the end product, it's illegal, but also in Oregon. And those are regions where grapes can be underripe. And so the winemakers now have to problem solve. Okay, my grapes are underripe. They don't have the juice taste that I need. And you are, and you want to add sugar in because you want to add in that a little bit of sweetness. Maybe it's too dry. Well, in Oregon or in Bordeaux, you can't do that. Okay, right. Just catching up. Greer's says her wine is the official wine of Major League Soccer. It must be healthy. Yes, absolutely. I mean, David Ortiz released a wine. It must be healthy. Again, you have to kind of look and see who's making it or where it's making it. And I'm going to give you some, right, Drew Bledsoe. I'm going to give you some tips of how to easily figure out what wines are, or how to buy the wine that is healthier. Okay. And, so you know, Marla had asked how big a glass am I talking? 4 ounces, 5 ounces. Trying not to get to 20 ounces in a week, I guess, is who went to wine jail? Buck Chuck, wine jail. Not for prostitution, Andrew. It was all right. Anyway, so as I'm going on, you guys can continue to heckle me, absolutely. But always what you can do to find healthy wine is look on the label. Okay, so tonight I'm drinking Owen Rowe, and that's Columbia Valley, Washington. And it's a cab, but it's actually a blend. And I know that just because I looked it up. Just Google the label and looked it up. Okay, so I also have had the fortune of visiting their vineyard. And we talked about the different designations and how they make their wine. So I know they're a trusted source. I know how they make their wine, and that because it's a kind of a more expensive and it's a handcrafted bottle, they have to be very careful about what they put into it. So I was talking with one of my neighbors today, and she said, well, I always drink Patson Hall. And I said, you know what, that's fantastic, and and um, and you know their quality, right? I think that's key. So if you have a go-to and you know the quality, some of my friends love Dreaming Tree. I've never looked up the winemaking on that. I do know it has higher sugar, which is why it tastes so good. And so, yes, so that's just, reliability, what works for you. So Sally asks, and hi Sally, welcome. She asked if I've used wine ones. Well, we're actually going to use one tonight, and I'm going to taste the difference with you. So yes, I have used them. And wine ones, for those of you who don't know, are supposed to remove sulfites and histamines from the wine. So Greer says, is there any region considered healthier than others? I mean, France overall is highly regulated, and it's causing a problem for them because they can only make wine in a certain way. And with the climate a little bit warmer, they're having to grow new grapes and try new things. And because they are highly regulated, that's an issue. Now, what happens in Europe, and we'll talk about this again, but what happens in Europe is that most countries they're just expected to be made organically, and if they use other wine practices, then they can't bottle their wine. They can be heavily fined. So Andrew asked, does Connecticut have a winery? Connecticut actually has several wineries. And what local states are doing, Missouri has wineries, they're taking local grapes and they are, oftentimes if it's a good wine, they're taking it and blending it with grapes from California or from around the world. And so they are actually, local wineries are making some really good wines. I will say we have one local winery and they insist on only using things that they grow here, and I don't find as much dimension and depth in their wines. They're fruity, but a lot more that I've experienced. I've had a couple of local grape varietals that have been okay that I would serve, but they're more porch drinking wines, as we call them, right? The ones that you sit by the pool. So Marla asks, the difference between organic and biodynamic. I'm going to go into that. And she asks for the criteria for organic designation. Thank you. She is thinking. All right, so read the label. You want to buy a healthy bottle of wine, a wine that is made well. If it says handcrafted, that is a tip that it is made carefully. Here's what you're going to look for on your bottle. Okay, if it says certified organic, there are a whole bunch of different labels, so you would have to read them, and I'll show you some examples. If it says certified organic, that means they went through an extensive process. A lot of wineries don't bother with it because it's really expensive and it takes a really long time, and you have to prove everything, all of your winemaking. Okay, so the wine does not, or certified organic means the wine doesn't at any point during the winemaking process contain synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and other chemicals. Any additives have to be organically grown, free of any GMOs, any sulfites, any preservatives, any antioxidants, and any antibacterial properties. Okay, so if it says certified organic on it, that's a high level. That's a high level, and you can trust that that is handcrafted. Okay, and Lisa said she got a sort of cheap grab at Shaw's because she didn't want to go to a second store. It's the store brand, but it's organics, and I don't know anything about Lifevine, but it does say it's organic. So be careful. Read the label. Make sure that they don't just put that it's organic, that they have an organic certification. The other thing that a lot of companies will, and Lisa, I'm guessing it's a white wine, and I'll tell you why. Because there are some wines that can be made, white wines that can be made more easily, and they typically are white. I think Marla has the Pinot Grigio, or maybe it's Mary, that also would have the organic designation. It's around $10. So you can get organic wines for $10. Just, you're going to see that it's certain kinds of varietals, okay? And I'll cover that after. So many of you will have labels on it that will say made with organic grapes. So what that means is that the process is all organic. They can't use all of those things that I mentioned. It can't be GMO, can't be synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, but they can add substances in the winemaking, like non-organic yeast, and they can add sulfites in the winery. So it's still, great that it's made with organic grapes. That is fantastic. But They're but there's a but it's better. Organic certified is better. Okay, so I keep saying organic certified as like holding it up to this high standard, but here's the truth of it. Cheers. Here's the truth of it. A lot of wineries, really, really, really good wineries in Europe, as I said before, won't get the label because it's how they make it. They make the wine that way. It's a no-brainer. This is how you make it. You make it organically. You make it healthy. You don't throw junk in it. I went to one winery, Chateau Fuisal in Bordeaux, and they threw out their entire 2017 crop. You'll never hear that from a U.S. winery, but actually that's not true. You may, but that's a lot of money that they threw away. But the grapes did not grow in the way they needed them to, and so they would have had to do too much winemaking, and they couldn't. They refused to sell them to a second label. They just got rid of them. Says, is it really more, even if certified organic? And what do you mean by that? Do you mean more expensive or higher level? So again, it depends what you're looking for. If it's organic grapes, made with organic grapes, but it's not certified organic, that means everything was organic up until the end of the winemaking process or during the winemaking process, and they still are held to standards. So they can add yeast and they can add sulfites. More healthy. Cheers, everybody. Drink. Hi, Kat. Welcome. More healthy. And so, is it more healthy? No. And again, that goes to, there are lots of other wines that are made organically that don't have that designation. It means that they went that extra level and had their wine certified organic so that it could say it on the label so you knew. That's what it means. Does it mean it's healthier? Not necessarily from other organically made wines that aren't labeled that way. However, it definitely is healthier than wines that are not made organically, that have pesticides, have fertilizers, okay? And that brings up a great, I use this in my trainings, and I'm sorry, I'm terrible so far at doing this, but if you look at sharing pictures, but if you look at one of the pictures, this is a picture I took in Burgundy, and you can see that in between the vines, there on one side there's grass growing, and it looks pretty healthy, and the other it's completely brown. These rows were right next to each other. Okay. So as we're riding by the vineyards and taking a look at that, what the guide tells us is that in Burgundy, the vineyards are owned by several different family members. They've split them up. And so some of them farm organically, but some don't. And so those brown grass, the brown in between those rows, those were actually, they use Roundup. Okay. So you can imagine, you could see how close the vines are. I don't know if you can see, but hopefully you can. This is Roundup sprayed in between. So that's leaching. It's right next to this right here. And I have it on my blog on vinotripping.com. I have pictures so you can see them if you can't. So Marla says, hers says it's certified organic, made from organic grapes, but also says contains sulfites. Is that because it's from outside the U.S., Spain? All right, so Marla, that's a fantastic question. So every wine has sulfites. It's natural. It's naturally occurring. Okay. If it has, I think it's 20 grams. It's 20. Anything above 20 and above has to be put on the label that it has sulfites, not just because it's from Spain. So most wines will have sulfites. And Lisa says naturally occurring sulfites only. So yes, they can add sulfites. It's not the purple crap that I was talking about. They add sulfites because it's a very natural preservative, and it will keep your wine preserved for years. It's naturally occurring, but sometimes they need to add a little bit more, and only some wineries can do it. So if it's organic, they can't add it. But that's okay, because when you think of sulfites, it's not what you're thinking of. And we're going to talk about that in a minute as well, or in a few minutes. Okay. So there are more designations. There are tons and tons of designations. Okay. Organic certified, made with organic grapes. Then there's biodynamic. That is beautiful. It's organics. They view the entire estate as a living organism, and they follow the moon phases for when to harvest. Yes, I promise. There's even a calendar for optimal wine tasting days. Special concoctions of herbs, minerals, manure may be planted to aid fertilization, and the certification is recognized globally. So Anne had asked, is organic healthier? Well, biodynamic, it's the next step. I'm not saying it's craziness, but it's crazy. No, it's not crazy. But the reason I chose Owen Rowe to drink tonight is because we had a really interesting conversation with one of the growers in the fields, and they said they went for the biodynamic certification, but because they have dogs and horses that go through their vines, that run through their vineyards, they would have to document to get biodynamic certification. They would have to document everything the animals eat. So anything at all that could go into those vineyards has to be documented in order to get the biodynamic certification. Okay, so what do these certifications look like? Yet again, I need to get better with the visuals. If I could share screen, I can't see what I'm showing, but
I'm not caught up to you.
You can see them here. You can look them up online, but they look different depending on the country. And you can see the organic. You can see LEED certified. We'll talk about that one. But so there are lots of different certifications within that. But know that if you are a true handcrafting winemaker, you're a farmer, and you value the soil, you value the water and the earth. Okay, so that's that's biodynamic. Now, a lot of people are also adding to their labels that they're sustainable. Does anybody have sustainable on theirs? That's a big one because of water issues, because of the climate, the global climate changes. There's huge environmental concerns with wineries and running out of water and not treating the land the way they need it to be. And so everybody is going towards sustainability, being able to account for your winery's role in the community. That's really the big thing. So gravity flow, somebody had gravity flow in their bottle last week. I've been seeing that a lot in wineries lately. And so Andy says, what's the Napa Valley of organic? Is it Oregon? When we were at Joseph Drouhin in Oregon, it was so interesting. They were saying their winery in France is not gravity flow, but their winery in Oregon is. And what that means is everything flows with gravity, just like it sounds like. So they harvest. We went down to the wine cellar. We went down the different levels. So they're harvesting above, and then they're pressing above, and then the juice drops down through a hose, through a hole. And then it's fermented on one level, and then it drops again to be barreled underneath. So it's all flow by gravity, so it's saving electricity.
No pumps.
No pumps. I mean, sure, yes. So what Anne asks is what makes wine, well, okay, so first to Andy, what's the Napa Valley of organic? Is it Oregon? I don't know that I would say of organic, because there's plenty of organic in Napa. There's a lot of money there. I think there's actually the father of biodynamic was Gergich. I almost opened their wine tonight, and I can spell that for you, but because it isn't like it sounds. That's Gergich, and he started biodynamic. So a lot of the wines throughout the U.S. are being made in organic ways. So it's hard to say specifically what state, but yeah, I mean, Oregon's a little bit behind Napa, but they're building out, so they probably have more of an ability to shape out their wineries in the way that they want to versus Napa that's been around, been building since the 70s. But so Anne asked, question, what makes a wine acceptable for vegans? So in winemaking, at the end, when you're filtering out the wine and making sure it's clear and without fault, they will use egg whites and to find the wine. So you have to make sure that that's what they're saying when they say it's acceptable for vegans. It means that they're using egg whites. They also there's a lot of different things that they're not using egg whites. They're now using a whole bunch of different things to filter the wine at the end to fine it. One of the things is also fish bladders, and so that's another one I think that vegans can't have. So Andrew has almond wine. I'm not really sure. I think I've had almond wine. What is ICEA? I don't know, Mary. And okay, so Mary, you can add to that when you have a chance. Natural wine is another designation. There are companies now that are saying we only sell natural wine. What is that? And in Europe, you may see sans soufre. And so natural wines are basically no intervention. They are made naked and raw. So they're made completely naturally, organic, biodynamic. And that's really, Anne had asked, is that, are organic the healthiest? I would say if it says natural wine, that's probably the healthiest. It's the natural wine. The yeast that they use has to be ambient, meaning it has to be natural. Okay, and the result is a living wine. So it's wholesome, it's full, and it has natural occurring microbiology. But here's the catch. Okay, so first of all, they don't all the bottles don't have the same clarity and taste. And it's harder to control, right? It's harder to control the final product. So if you have a natural wine, and let's say it's a white wine and you can't see through it, it's not clear, that's just in the winemaking process. And these, Anne, going back to your original question, I hate to keep mentioning Anne, but you've asked these questions that all relate with this. They don't carry the shelf stability. So natural wines are not shelf stable. And lastly, they're not really regulated in the U.S. Okay, and there are more designations. We could cover more, but these are the most that you see. The other one is sans soufre, and you see that in France, and that means no sulfur added. But the problem is, again, they're not going to last longer. Oh, okay. So what Christine is saying is that we should stay away from vegan wine because it's totally gross. It depends what you consider gross, right? Some people consider egg whites gross. Vegan. Some people consider egg whites gross. The thing about egg whites and fining is by the time the process is over, they're gone. They come out they fall to the bottom of the barrel and they're gone. Naked and raw. That's right. That's right, Mar. And then Mary said, "Oh, I see it. That is probably a licensing body." Let me see. So there's Live Certified Sustainable. I'm not really sure what the ICEA is. There's so many. I had pages and pages full of certification bodies. So you'd have to come look. Okay, I don't know if you can get fish bladders, Lisa.
The wine growers of southern New Hampshire.
Yes, the southern New Hampshire. So, all right. So here's a myth, and this goes back to, I think Sally asked, what about the wine wand? So a lot of people have a reaction to red wine. And the standard answer is must be allergic to sulfites. And I am here to tell you that that is not true necessarily. Okay, so here's how you know if you're allergic to sulfites, if it's the sulfites in red wine that's bugging you. If you are also allergic to French fries, sausage, bacon, dried fruit, and anything that comes out of a can, including soda, you then are allergic to sulfites. If you don't have a reaction to those things, you are not reacting to sulfites in the wine. Less than 1% of the world is allergic to sulfites, okay? So when we talk about do they add sulfur, do they not, it really doesn't matter unless you truly are allergic to sulfites. And if you are sensitive to sulfites, which certainly you can be sensitive and not allergic, if you refrigerate your wine, it will remove a lot of the sulfites. So they also have things like this wine wand, which we're going to use in a moment. So it removes sulfites and also histamine. So histamines are another thing that could be causing you to have a reaction to red wine. Foods that are fermented or have high levels of histamines like tofu, tempeh, champagne, I guess, red wine, ketchup, and aged meats. All of those have a lot of histamines. So that can cause an inflammatory flushing, and it can cause you to wake up at night. But since most histamines are the result of an allergy, like hay fever, you can take an antihistamine before you drink wine, and that would solve the problem. So, and then there's an ancient Chinese cure for histamine allergies, which is black or oolong tea, and that reduces swelling. What did I say that vegan wine strained through? There's fish bladders, yes, but there are other things too. So, Anne, that's a really good question. I don't have the full list. In the research that I was looking at, so the typical thing, there are egg whites, but there are lots of other things that vegan wine can be strained through. Keith, actually, can you look that up?
Sure.
What is vegan wine fined through? And we'll get you that answer. Okay. All right. So those are histamines. All right. So we're going to open up the wine wand because many of you, I'm sure, want to know what this is. So they come in these little packs, and they're essentially a little tea bags. And you take them, and you take your take, doing. You can leave it in there, or you can swirl it around. And what it's supposed to be doing is the compounds that are in here are supposed to bind with the histamines and with the sulfites. And then you remove it. And you can actually, people have asked me this, you can actually reuse it. It really works for probably 2 glasses of wine. I would put 2 in there if you do a whole bottle. And then you can rinse it out and try and reuse it. It's not as effective, but you certainly can reuse it, definitely for 2. But that's what I'll do after this. I'll rinse it in warm water and let it dry. Okay, so now I'm going to try and see if there's a difference. Yeah, I don't taste a difference, but I'm not sensitive to sulfites and histamines. There are also filters. So that option, they're like $4 a pack. Hi, Amy. Welcome, Amy. Thanks for joining us. This is a filter you can buy. It's a decanter. And it's called Ulo. And it was like $65. And I used it. They sent it to me to use it for a show. And I used it for the show, and people are interested, and I never heard back from them. So I'm not sure how. I'm sure you've seen them. Wine Enthusiast sells them, but there's just a filter here, and you pour your wine through there. Okay. So I hope that I've given you some. Oh, hi, Raylene. I haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you. I hope I've given you some ideas of what might be giving you headaches if you do have headaches from red wine. The thing is, there's more sulfites in white wine too, so just keep that in mind. Another thing that could be giving you headaches is tannins, and that's necessary in wine. It comes from the skins and seeds and stems. But one way to gauge is chocolate, tea, and soy are also very high in tannin. So if you don't react to tannin in tea, why would you react to tannin in wine? So it's really just you trying to narrow down what's happening for you, okay? And the last thing is tyramines. And they basically, as foods age, proteins are broken down, and this enzyme causes tightening of blood vessels. Okay, so worst comes to worst. What happens with tyramines is your body gets used to them. The more red wine you drink, the more you're able to tolerate it. It's found in aged cheese, cured ham, yogurt, soy sauce, beans, tons of other stuff. Okay, yes.
So, clay-based fining agents such as bentonite.
Okay, Keith is sharing with you. And what else for vegan wines do they use?
Activated charcoal.
Activated charcoal.
Yep. Or
bentonite.
Some of them just don't fine or filter.
Or they don't filter. Okay, and those natural wines as well. Okay, there are other products out there that supposedly remove sulfites and histamines. However, there are wine drops from Australia. They water down the wine, so not great. So I mean, the wine wand has worked for me. It doesn't really change. Okay. And Sally shares with us that she loves the wine wands and she doesn't get the histamine flush anymore and feels better. So that's fantastic. Okay. Great. All right. And so why else could you get headaches? It could be dehydration. You're supposed to, for every glass of wine you drink, you're supposed to drink a glass of water. So everybody cheers on the water if you have it. But if you don't, let's drink some healthy wine. And Lisa says, is it possible that the headache is just too much red wine being enjoyed? Absolutely, absolutely. Mm. And from the sugar and the alcohol, absolutely. Okay. Now, this I think you are going to find the most interesting. I saved it for last because I wanted to make sure you were able to hear and that I addressed kind of the basic what is healthy wine. But this is why it's a little complex. Not so hard when you go to buy, and I'll close with that. But this is why healthy wine, not healthy wine, what should I buy? This is what's really going on here, okay? So people say, what about Fitvine? Well, here's the story with Fitvine. Fitvine is spun and separated, and they take out different components. And then they take out a little bit of the sugar, and then in turn lowers the alcohol. Then they put it all back together. So sommeliers who taste regular wine and fit wine together, they know it doesn't taste right. They'll say, "Oh, this wine doesn't taste right. It seems flat. It seems watered down." And places do that, by the way. They add in, they will do like Trop 50. They'll throw water in. They call it Jesus juice. They split it in half basically and take water and wine. So fit vine, if you really look at what you're getting, it has 0.3 grams of sugar. So 3 grams of sugar, 118 calories, and 3.7 grams of carbohydrates. Okay, regular dry wine on the average has 125 calories, so you get an extra 7 calories. You get a 0.3 grams of carbs, not even a whole one. They have 4 grams in dry red wine and 1 gram of sugar. Okay, so I know I don't have the visual. I have it here, but it's probably too small. If you compare here, actually, you might be able to see that. To me, it's just really telling, right? You can't see my finger. Fit vine up there. So low sugar, same as very close to fine red wine. Calories are very close and carbs are very close, okay? The reason I didn't use white is slightly higher. So white wines have lower calories, so about 121. They have lower alcohol if they have lower sugar. And they have 4 carbs on average and 1 gram of sugar, okay? So that's fit vine. It just doesn't taste the same. So you for yourself will make a choice. Would I rather have something with tiny little bit of calories less, or would I rather have the full flavor and full taste? So that's fit vine. So then other people will say, well, I'll just go to a club that has organic wines. Well, from the research that I did, what I found is that those clubs, many of them charge a lot more because they're curating your selection. And really what they are doing is they're just finding places that farm the way they want. And so the lesson basically is any of these clubs, what they're selling, you could find on your own. And I know people want it to be easy. I remember when I first started on this journey and I went into the state of New Hampshire liquor store and I said, "Where's your organic section?" And they looked at me like I was kind of crazy. And the reason is they can't have the organic section would be enormous, because so many wines. And you could say, where's your certified organic section? But definitely there are so many wines that are good for you and they may not say it on it, okay? So I also looked at the Weight Watchers wines that they put together. Same thing, they spin the wine, they pull out the flavor elements, they pull out the sugar, which is not the only flavor element. They try to separate out the flavor and then they put it all back together. So when you talk about naturally made wine, any of these lighter wines they're just not made the same. And as Marla says, fit vine equals not worth the effort. Alcohol content is regular versus the fit vine. They lower it a little. You have to lower the sugar. Okay. If you're really concerned, so alcohol and sugar give wine body and texture. So removing it makes wines feel thin and watery. Okay. But if you stick to dry wines are going to have that same kind of taste quality and have the same calorie and carb and sugar makeup. Whites, again, can be a little bit higher in sugar, but a dry white should be lower. And you can just look it up online. It's all online. And I want Keith to help me put together an easy way for you guys to find that. Okay. So ultimately, as Marla said, the calorie savings and the savings from diet wine are so minute compared to the flavors that you're giving up. All right. So 8 minutes, and I'm going to give you just general rules of thumb to buy the wine that you consider healthy for you. So first you have to figure out what are your priorities. Like if I'm going to stay keto, my nutritionist has said to me, 2 glasses of red wine is fine, okay, for keto. I'm trying to stay under 20 carbs, that's 8, right? So I just have to look at what else I'm eating. If you are doing, Weight Watchers, you're watching calories. So you have a glass of wine, you have 2. So if you don't care and you just want to put healthy things into your body for whatever reason, then you go to that organic, biodynamic, those types of labels, or natural. So Andy asked what makes a wine dry. And it's all in the winemaking. So if you, a wine that's dry has, it's at 0.4, it has 4 grams or less of residual sugar. Okay, I have a chart, but so bone dry wine is zero 1 or less residual sugar. Dry is 1 to 10 grams of residual sugar. Off dry is 10 to 35. Sweet is 35 to 120, and so on, very sweet. But what actually makes it, so we're looking at the residual sugar. Residual sugar is created as grapes grow. And when you are in your winemaking process and the yeast is converting the sugar into alcohol, if you stop that process halfway through, your wine's going to be sweeter. So you can control it there, and that's kind of a natural way to control it. Or in the end, you can add sugar. So there are lots of ways. It depends on wine and the winemaking, what you're going for. But basically, a dry wine has lower residual sugar. Okay, that's a great question. All right. So going back to, so what do you choose? I mean, if I truly want to be keto and I'm so obsessed and it's, so important, maybe I have vodka instead, right? So it's all the choices that you make. So rules of thumb: don't buy value-driven wines, meaning $2, $5. They tend to have more residual sugar to improve the taste. Okay, so Mary or Marla was mentioning that she had a $10 wine, and it is, I mean, on the edge of value driven. So if you really are concerned about the sugar, then you can look up what is the residual sugar. It's usually G/L, and they should have it right in the tasting note. Sometimes you have to ask the winemakers because they don't want to acknowledge that they have more residual sugar. But overall, most wines are pretty truthful. But if you're really concerned about those little grams of sugar, you can check it out. So generally speaking, white and rosé wines will often have some level of residual sugar. Sweetness in white and rosé helps counterbalance acidity, and those tend to be acidic. So you can anticipate around 10 grams of residual sugar, which is 1.5 carbs per serving. European wines, France, Italy, Greece, they tend to prioritize dryness. So you might try more Nebbiolo, Bordeaux, Chianti, Rioja. Those are all going to be lower because they're going to be drier, less residual sugar. Do you have to use organic sugar or just grapes? That's a great question. If you are adding sugar in, it has to be organic if you are certified organic. If you say made with organically grown grapes, it doesn't have to be organic. Okay, great question. That's 2, Andy, 2. Healthy, cheers. So sparkling wines marked with brut, extra brut nature, they typically have the lowest amounts of residual sugar, around 1.5 carbs. And then if you search terms like fact sheet, text sheet, RS, or even pH, that will give you your wine's technical information. Okay, so you can search it and look it up. Okay, wines to avoid. Wines with higher alcohol levels, like if you don't want high sugar. Things like Shiraz, Pinotage, Zinfandel, Grenache, they're all naturally high in sugar. And then other things that you want to avoid if you want to avoid sweetness or higher sugar or higher sweetness levels include Moscato, port, and other dessert wines. Okay. So high alcohol means high sugar. Zinfandels can have 15, 16% alcohol, and they taste great, but they'll have more residual sugar. So back to Dreaming Tree, one of Christine's favorites, that probably has a level of residual sugar. Okay, and Sally highly recommends the wine wands. So that's fantastic. Thank you. We have a personal testimony. The one that we're missing is we all, at the beginning, did our swirl, smell, sip really quickly, but we didn't share what we're drinking. So if you guys don't mind, can you go ahead and bomb the comment section and tell us what you're drinking tonight? Can send a picture. I don't know if you can comment in pictures. And Lisa Gilbert, we don't know what you typed there. We. Yeah. Yeah. And so one of the keys, I think, as we talked about, as you're commenting on what you're drinking tonight, we all have different tastes. We all have different likes. We all have different memories around our experiences that contribute to our wine tasting. We all have different varietals that we like. We all have different palates and abilities to smell and taste. And we all have different priorities and what we want to bring into our lives. And so that's important. I can share this information with you, and it's a lot. So it is on my blog, and I should put it's vinotripping.com. Has a lot of this information on it. So if you want to see stuff, some things, then take a look at vinotripping.com at Healthy Wines, and feel free to comment on that. So Greer's drinking a Malbec, and for World Malbec Day, and Rosalie has a canu as well. Anne's drinking Pacific Redwood Pinot Noir. That's interesting. And Pacific Redwood, is that the name of the winery or is that the area? I'm assuming it's the name of the winery. Oh, interesting. Lisa, not organic but drinking Franciscan. Did you check? I would check and look for how they make, what words they use. So Owen Rowe does not, they're not organic, but they talked about handcrafting and carefully picking. Ray Bailey, a Canadian Sauvignon Blanc. Interesting. Is it from the Okanagan or is it from Niagara? And it's organic, and you can't tell coming from Canada. Andrew has bread and butter Pinot Noir. Yep. Okay. Yum. Not organic. Yeah. Probably more sugar. Mary has Te Amo, and that's definitely going to be crisp and light. And Live a Little, really ravishing red. And that sounds interesting. Sally says Whole Foods in North Carolina has a Chardonnay for $2.99 a bottle, and her daughter loves it. Interesting. And again, you can love a $2 bottle of wine. It's just whether or not you react to it. And truthfully, Sally, really, that's a general rule. Could there be a company that's making bulk wine that has pretty good winemaking, or sometimes they want to dump wine, like if there's some place that just wants to get rid of it and needs to make a little bit or pay for import or whatever it is, they could sell to Trader Joe's or somewhere else. So you can find those rare bargains. Lisa says organics. Marla has a Rioja. Lori, this is from the Okanagan. Interesting. That's an up-and-coming region in Canada. Beautiful. Sally's drinking Josh Cab. Yep. And Marla's got the Lat 42. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. I had so much fun tonight. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to message me. And if you have friends who want to see, check out the channel it's Artisan Wine Group on YouTube. And take care. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. And thank you, guys.